Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dr. Cybersecurity. I'm Dr. Mansur Hasib, and in this show, I talk with wonderful people in my network, and I had candid conversations on topics that they want to talk about. I have no idea most of the time what they're going to ask, but that's what makes this show fun. My first guest this evening is Dell Jackson. Dell, why don't you introduce yourself and say hello?
Hi, Dr. Hasib. Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'll tell everybody a little bit about myself. I am an experienced professional. I come from a background with tech support, restaurant management, business ownership. I've had two businesses of my own, human resources, business development, and let's not forget accounting. Oh, the accounting. Oh, Lord. So,
Something I don't can't do.
oh no, I have 2.5 degrees. I have an associate's degree in computer science, and I have a bachelor's degree in computer network security. Um, my master's degree has been on hold. I figured I need to spend some more time looking for a job. So it's on hold, but I've got half of it done.
That's
So
nice.
I wanted to talk today a little bit about being in cybersecurity. None of my jobs that I've had in the past have been in cybersecurity, so to
Okay.
speak. But I wanted to talk about my experiences, my skills, my talents, things that come naturally.
Mhm,
I have like critical thinking skills, strategic thinking skills that come naturally to me,
mhm, mhm,
and I I use those to build my soft skills that
mhm,
I'm going to need in cybersecurity.
mhm,
So I've done the education that I need.
mhm,
So now I just want to use the soft skills to pivot myself into cybersecurity.
mhm.
So I'm hoping that's what we kind of talk about this evening, because
That's
that
fine.
is a huge topic for me, because it is very hard for some of us to pivot into cybersecurity. So I want to talk about some of those soft skills, and just how are we using those skills when we're already experienced professionals. We may not be experienced, so to speak, in cybersecurity,
Mhm,
but we are experienced professionals. Um, and that brings me kind of to my first question. I think about cybersecurity, and I've been job searching for a couple of years now.
mhm,
And I look at all the risk that these small and mid-sized companies are taking,
mhm,
and they don't want to take a risk on hiring, so to speak, people that have not been in cybersecurity.
mhm,
So when they think about those risks that they have, they need people with the soft skills,
mhm,
not so much the technical skills,
mhm,
which I have a little bit of technical skills too, because I
mhm,
did do some of that stuff.
mhm, 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 mhm,
But they need people that know how to do the problem solving.
mhm,
Um, and one of the things that I think cybersecurity is missing is the collaboration. I
mhm,
think there's so many people that know so much, and
mhm,
then there's other people that need that knowledge. And we need to collaborate, and we need all the people to work together if we're going to solve this cybersecurity problem. They say it's a problem, but
mhm,
we're at risk all the time.
mhm,
The United States is at risk. Our small businesses, our elderly people, our children, we're always at risk when it
mhm,
comes to cybersecurity.
mhm,
So we need the communication skills, which some of our technical people, they don't have the communication skills that are needed.
mhm,
But then we also need leadership skills. We
mhm,
need those people that, and everybody can be leaders, they can, but you do need people that already have that sometimes, so that we can teach it to people that are coming into the fold. So I'm all about this collaboration, about this helping, about reaching out to other people. Um, you're never going to, you're always going to be achieving something. So you always need to be helping other people to get where you might want to be, or just to help them in their path also.
mhm.
So I know there's a lot of topics that I talked on there, but
Right. So let me try to start helping you forge a direction and maybe start to talk about your story because you shared some very interesting thoughts about your prior background. You talked about having that accounting and the different degrees, and some of master's degrees done. Well, you actually have what is called the foundational skills of the discipline. I realize you're calling them soft skills. I call them the foundational skills because without that, if you are just simply a tech jock, you're basically dangerous to any company
Right.
because it's like giving somebody a gun without training them how to shoot it. They have no aim, they have no focus, they don't know what to use and where and what, because whatever they do, any technology can actually be dangerous also. So, you talked about accounting. Well, today, forensics in accounting is one of the biggest fields around. And so, if somebody wants to do cyber crime in the accounting area, somebody with previous background in accounting would be gold to anybody. This is what I tell people. A lot of people think they're not in cybersecurity, but they really are. Now, part of the reason you may have this confusion is because there are too many pretenders in this world. People who
Oh yeah.
don't know cybersecurity, but they are claiming to know cybersecurity, and they're teaching it incorrectly, they're defining it incorrectly. So, in other words, they're equating cybersecurity with the security aspects of the discipline alone. And even then, I don't even know what security is because I never talk about security. What I talk about is confidentiality, integrity, availability, those key things, etc., etc. And I talk about maximizing those because it can never be perfect, because it is always a balancing act, because cybersecurity is a business discipline, right? Because whatever I need to do, I can never do usually in one day or 1 year.
Nope.
When I was chief information officer, I had a multi-year strategy. So you probably read my first book, Cybersecurity Leadership, and over there I talk about how I operated as a CIO, and I had a multi-year strategy. And I also never had a separate budget. Many companies that are doing it incorrectly today have a separate cybersecurity budget. How do you separate that out? Does not make sense at all.
Yeah.
All right. They're also spending too much time and money on awareness programs. Awareness programs concept comes from the 1990s. I talk about that in my book also. Awareness does not do anything. You need to develop a culture of perpetual innovation because cybersecurity is a process. It's a culture of perpetual innovation done by humans because only humans do innovation. And that is everybody. You talked about not everybody can be a leader. Actually, they have to be. Everybody has to be a leader in their job, in their role, because they are the only person who are experts in that role. Nobody knows their job better than the person doing it, right? I could be chief information officer most of the time. I don't know the nitty gritty of every job of the people who are under my supervision.
Yeah, that's
I'm
where
ex-
the collaboration comes in. Everybody needs to talk. The
exactly, and
communication,
leadership and
yes,
all of that.
all of that needs to come in. And
Yes.
building, the teamwork and the building of the teams. When you're building a team, you don't have to be the person, your leadership skills are going to come out, but you also have leaders in the team. And you
Correct.
guys just collaborate and then you guys can get stuff done.
And you talked about problem solving, right? So
Yeah.
problem solving is one of the most key skills that a cybersecurity professional has to have. So when I was teaching, whenever I taught people, I would basically teach them how to do root cause analysis on every problem that they're researching, because you first of all find out the cause, then you say, okay, what caused that? Go back, keep going back to the root cause, you see, because until you fix the root causes and issues, you're not going to
And
succeed.
solve the problem. And
Exactly.
that's another thing that I talk about with problem solving. And a
Hmm.
lot of times when you're trying to solve problems, people are always talking.
Hmm.
And you can't solve the problem until you listen to find out what the problem is.
There you
So
go.
you need to do an exercise where you listen, you process, and then you ask some questions, and then you listen again, and then you process.
Yes, and then you monitor to see
Yeah.
whatever
See
you're
what's going
doing,
on.
what is the effect, what is the result, and maybe you made a mistake because innovation by itself is risky. You
Yeah.
know that many things are not going to work, so you recalibrate. I mean, this is why I also talk about another thing in my book, which is that never penalize somebody for making a mistake or taking a risk while doing innovation, right?
Right.
I've never penalized somebody for that, never laid off somebody for that. But I have laid off people for, not laid off, fired people for ethical violations, for lying. Because
Mhm.
to me, as an employee who's lying boldfacedly, is basically giving me incorrect information. And that's going to lead to a whole bunch of dangerous decisions, right?
Right.
Anytime somebody fabricates something or lies, guess what? A lot of people are going to make decisions based on that lie.
Oh, we just found that out in America. We just
And I've
found
been
that out
talking
on
about
a
that.
huge scale.
I've been talking about that with my students that I like, okay, this business of fake news and all. Now, what is funny is that finally Facebook, Twitter have started to stamp things as false information. Well, they should have been doing that from the very beginning.
It's a learning process for them. You know, it took something like this for them to see that that is needed. And, you know, as they're trying to deal with cyberbullying and they're trying to deal with, you know, all these other things, this was a learning process for them. And let's just hope that they learn the lesson and that there will be some changes in Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other
Not
little
only
things.
that, even in the United States, there was a time when a politician could actually lose their career for lying in public. But now it doesn't seem to matter anymore. Where are we? I mean, why is it not even illegal? Why is lying not illegal? I mean, that's amazing. Lying to the FBI is illegal, but lying to anybody else, the whole public, to America, is not illegal. That is weird.
because they're ego driven, you know, and it's for their own self good. You know, they don't care about anybody else, and that's where we have to be different. You know, and not even just as cybersecurity professionals, but just as, you know, individuals, we just have to be different. That's where your integrity comes in.
Well, this is why I was saying that cybersecurity is far more than a niche discipline. To me, cybersecurity is everything, everything. You talk about being in any field, it is the modern business world
Yeah,
because everything is driven by information.
information.
The confidentiality, integrity, and that of information has to be important in any business because otherwise you're going to drive yourself out of business,
Yeah, everything
right?
is basically information driven nowadays. Everything.
Yes. And absolutely correct. I see somebody who chatted about the people being the most important. Absolutely. People
Yes.
are, as I said, I've always said that the fountain of innovation, they are the people who can really help you. And most pretenders in the cybersecurity discipline actually mistreat people. They tell us the people are the weakest link. Are you kidding me? Without people, you can never do this.
Yeah, without people, you won't even have this whole cybersecurity stuff. You gotta have the people.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're laying off people and they're trying to do it with artificial intelligence and technology and all that. And I'm like, God, you got some real rocks in your heads because when you lay off the people, you've just laid off some intellectual assets. Most of your information, most of your organization's information are in the heads of people.
Yep. And that's what it all boils back down to the people. So I am I'm just floored that people are allowed to go out and do misinformation.
Right. So I think that it is a learning curve. So hopefully laws and things like that will improve. I see it is starting to change because people, at least the big media companies now are beginning to start embracing that. But again, they have been so unethical about this because a lot of times the number of people they have on their system, whether they're fake or lying or whatever, still determines their, I guess, revenues. And this was an early problem that I was talking about with Facebook, that even in the early days, about 25 to 30% of the Facebook accounts were fake. But they were not doing purges because that would reduce the numbers and probably ad revenue and things like that. And I think that companies need to be a lot more ethical. I believe ethical leadership is very critical. And that's another reason why I've talked about in the field of cybersecurity that ethical leadership is key.
Yeah. And I mean, I pride myself on my ethics and hanging around with people that also pride themselves on their ethics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do what you say you're going to do, mean what you say when you're
Yep.
talking.
Yep.
And, you know, people come to me for that exact reason. I have people that will call me out of the blue because they trust what I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to tell them.
Yes.
And if I don't know what I'm going to tell them, I will tell you, I don't know.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I can circle back to you, or no, better yet, you circle back to me because I'm too busy to keep circling back to people. Yeah, circle back to me with that, and yeah, we'll problem solve on that issue. But I pride myself on that. My family members call me, friends will call me up, you know, and they're like, well, we know you have the information. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that'll be my personal brand. Maybe I'll be the information lady or something.
Oh, but seriously, if you
I've
started
got to
reading
find something.
the second book, you saw that even your personal brand starts with who you are, your values, right? What is it that you want the world to know about you? Now, if integrity is a key value of yours, you want the world to know about that. That should be right there on your chest. You should be wearing that on your chest all the time. I do that all the time. My integrity is not for sale.
Yeah,
I have been in
I
situations where,
can't do it. In all honesty, I can't
yeah,
lie either because
yeah,
I can't remember. You know, I got to remember for Christmas. I can't
right.
be remembering. Oh, I told that one this. I didn't tell this one that, and I just can't do it.
That is funny. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
If you speak the truth all the
but yeah,
time, you don't have to remember which lie you told to whom.
yeah, you don't. And sometimes I don't say anything because you know if you don't have nothing nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all, probably. So
Right, right, right.
sometimes you know that's just the way it goes.
Well, listen, Dell, it was absolutely wonderful catching up with you. We will certainly do some networking after the show is done, but I really enjoyed talking with you, Dell.
It has been such a great time to get to catch up with you again, Dr. Hasib. This is always great.
Great, great. And my next guest is Callie Churchwell. And Callie, I would love for you to introduce yourself and say hello.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So I am just kind of a unicorn. I started out with a public relations background and degree, and I owned my own company for about 8 years. I did a lot of brand intelligence, and I did a lot of media relations work, working with legal, working with, a lot of stuff that I didn't even know that I was doing threat intelligence at the time. And, like you said before, it's everywhere. I was.
Yes.
And, I would work with a lot of different healthcare companies and stuff, making sure that their risks were low on the computer front, cyber front, and whatnot. And just kind of fell in love with it and was tinkering along online one time and must have filled out something because some university recruiter was calling me for about a year. And I finally picked up the phone because I was like, oh, what do you want?
Okay.
I don't want to do cybersecurity because I don't want to work at a help desk. I don't want to make, I don't want to do like $30,000 a year anymore. I want to do big stuff. I didn't know what cybersecurity was.
Right.
I thought it
Right.
was just working at an IT help desk. I didn't know.
Right.
And
You
I
didn't
was
know
like,
that you were already in the field.
yeah. And he explained to me exactly what it was. I got my rejection letter after finally applying after he bothered me for a year. So I called up the director and I was just like, no, that's inappropriate. You're going to give me 5 minutes of your time So because this is my future and I deserve 5 minutes of your time. And so he talked to me about how I was a career changer and whatnot. And I said, no, you only gave me 5 minutes of your time. So now I'm going to talk.
Wonderful. I love
and
it.
I told him, this is what I want to do. This is something I'm very passionate about. I am a protector at heart. But I don't want to be in the military. I don't want to serve. My whole family served in the military. I don't want to do that. That's not my path. This is my path, and this is what I want to do. And if I don't pass with a 4.0, I will not use my degree. You can keep it, and I'll still pay you for it and everything, but I won't use it. And he said, challenge accepted.
Okay.
He sent me my acceptance letter. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was a program meant for people that have been in the field for about 5 years or more.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up passing with a 4.0 and shook his hand while I was walking across the stage with a big smile on my face. And he actually gave me a hug, and I was like, well, so I was like, maybe next time career changers aren't really that different. And that's where I learned, that lesson of like, we all do some sort of cybersecurity if we're working ethically and we're working with honesty and integrity. It's just the culture of it, so. So yeah, now I present at DEF CON, I present at the Biohacking Village, a lot of different international conventions and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoy what I do. There's a lot of challenges in terms of like kind of what you guys were talking about. It's great to have integrity and it's great to have honesty. But sometimes businesses just aren't ready to hear it. And then you get put in a bad situation because you're the one that said the honest thing that nobody was ready to hear.
Yes.
And
that is the reason why
yeah.
I talk about the career risks and having multiple sources of income, because the world has come to a strange situation right now. That is the main reason why I took some time off to write this book, to bring inner greatness out, because I saw that too many people were thinking that we're in the America that used to be 40 years ago. We're not in that America or the rest of the world. What has happened in the 1970s, you probably may not be aware of that history, was in the 1970s, you got these MBA schools that came about. And basically that group of people are literally ruling the world today. And they view people as expenses. And all they know is layoffs, cost cutting, and all that. And that is why I have made it my personal mission to empower and educate as many people into developing their personal brands, recognizing their value, and also being protective of their integrity. Because if you start doing this and get sucked into this system, this is a no-win situation. I mean, innovation in America is half what it used to be in the 1970s. And that's because with this layoff culture, a lot of people are no longer loyal to the company.
Yeah. I mean, you look back at old TV shows. I mean, you show anything, you don't even have to look in history books, books or anything. You look at history and TV shows and you see, people that have their own food stands, they have their own businesses. People were starting businesses, not, in the culture of immediately thinking that you're going to follow a business. There was, there's this lack of personal branding that, you talk about, because people assume that just because you're following a business or you're joining a business, you don't have to have your own branding and put in that effort, but you do.
You do.
You absolutely do. And, you mentioned to mention it. So I am actually looking for my next opportunity. I am actively interviewing right now with some really great people. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, it's really important that I've learned to know who you are and to, your book was actually very helpful for me and understanding who you are and stand for what you actually want, because in this industry, it's so important for your culture and your values to match what's going on with the business in order to stay around for a while.
Yes, one of the
And
things that I noticed about you in particular, right from
yeah.
the very beginning, even in your introduction, you already know which niche and which lane is your love.
Yeah.
And that is key, right? And that is key for any professional to truly succeed. You're not willing to go do something else, regardless of what they pay you. You want to do your love within the field, which is this threat intelligence or what.
Malware analysis, kind of threat intel, kind of blended together. I love it. You
Yes,
know, I
yes.
could
And
do
that
the
is
customer
beautiful.
success management thing
Mhm,
as long as I get some technical time or whatnot.
mhm.
But yeah, you couldn't pay me enough to be a software engineer. I'll tell you that right now. Like, you
No, but that's the beauty of it.
could.
Absolutely. So you have already found your niche and your love, and that is key. And you can build a brand around that. And you already talked that you're already doing that. You're speaking at
I'm
various
trying.
conferences around that. And so develop your following around that also. Do more videos and things like that. That is wonderful.
I have thought I'm talking to you now and it sounds so
Uh-huh,
silly now, but I've thought about doing videos and stuff like that. And that's where it kind of goes to is thoughts.
uh-huh.
Before I got my first job after college, I was like, I started my YouTube channel, but then as soon as I started working, everything went away and I lost my personal brand and
Right.
yeah, so I do think that that's extremely important and I'm glad I'm talking to you now because it's like, yeah, I actually really do like making videos and doing stuff like that. Maybe I will.
And you
um
should. I think
yeah,
you come across very well. And then
thank you.
the story that you talked about, even that story, I'm glad that you revealed that story here. But yes, that could have already been in a video already, because
Yeah.
those are the kinds of stories people need to hear. Because what was special about that particular story is you knew your lane and you were willing to put in the hard work to succeed in that lane. You see?
Yep.
You had that grit because you knew this is what I wanted to do. And of
Yep.
course, if you want to do something like, okay, if somebody
And,
wants to
and
be a
I don't like
doctor.
people telling me I can't do it, so I'll do it if you tell me I can't.
Exactly. No, no, but the key is that it was something that you loved. It's like, okay, if you love basketball or baseball enough to want to play in the big leagues, well, you're going to have to still put in the hard work, do the running around the tracks and all of that, getting up, eating right, healthy, not doing drugs and alcohol and all that stuff, because that's going to destroy your athletic ability, right? So
Hmm.
it's that discipline is needed regardless of what your field is. I've been the same way.
And you're
Yeah.
doing great.
Well, I
I
mean,
like I like following you on LinkedIn.
bless you, bless you. I'm just having fun right now. At this stage of my life is basically dedicated to people like you, Dell, all these people that are the future leaders of the world. I Every time I hear a story from somebody who has basically either read my work or done something and then build their brand and then come back and tell their story, it has been amazing. And you'll actually, in the networking, you'll probably meet one of the people that joined Toastmasters just because I asked her to, and she was just humoring me, but she never realized it would literally start changing her world.
Yeah.
Because
So
now.
socially, like with the job thing, my struggle is with the job things.
Mhm,
I'm confident, I'm there, I'll get it done, I'll find a way to get it done, and it'll be the best thing you've ever seen, guaranteed. Like that's what it's gonna be. It's not confident, that's what it's gonna be.
yeah.
Because I'll find a way to do it.
Mhm,
But on the social end of it,
mhm,
I'm actually quite introverted,
mm,
believe it or not.
mhm,
And and so, I tend to be quite humble with myself and
mhm.
quite like who would want to kind of like watch my videos, like who like what am I going to talk about that people haven't already said a million times?
Mhm.
Um stuff like that kind of prevents me sometimes from really kind of embracing or kind of pursuing that fully encompassing brand.
Well, the
Um,
key, as talk about, is not what you say, but it is how you say it. It's the wrapping that you put around it, because the way you are going to say it, nobody else can say it, because you yourself are unique. There's nobody else like you in the world. I've already said that. And what people are connecting with are authentic people. So they want to see that authenticity. So that's the thing. It's the Callie Churchwell brand. It's the Callie Churchwell,
I love it.
what do you call that? The circle. So this whole Dr. Cybersecurity thing, how did that happen? I didn't even dream of it, right? It's the community that literally embraced me in that manner. The community gave me that title, even because one day I was saying, okay, I need a hashtag. So then the community told me, this is the hashtag for you. And I said, really? That's going to be very hokey. I mean, I said, no, it fits you.
I love it.
So you see, this is the thing. You talked about yourself being a unicorn, which is absolutely great. You are probably a unicorn in your particular niche. And I believe everybody is, because the
Yes,
unique set of skills that you bring to the job that you're going to do, nobody else has that. So if you have a supply of one, why can't you dictate your salaries? You see, this is what I'm talking about. And
I
when you
do. Yeah.
negotiate salary,
Yeah.
you need to be able to negotiate on the basis of value. What value are you producing? And your compensation must be proportional to the value you produce.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree. 100% agree.
And that's the principle of capitalism, which we actually have almost forgotten in the United States, because I have
Yeah.
seen this in the past.
Yep.
People who were making money were never laid off.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
it all depends on who else is above you.
So
If
how do
there's
you
a
negotiate with people that don't understand but believe that the value of what you do is very low?
you
Because a
don't.
lot of people, especially within threat intelligence, a lot of people don't understand what threat intelligence is, what it can do for a company.
Mhm.
Threat intelligence can, I mean, it could save a company. Outside of incident response is very reactive.
Mhm.
Monitoring and detection can be very reactive.
Mhm.
But threat intelligence is the one key thing that you can have within your company that can prevent things from happening, that can be those proactive voices and whatnot. So but a lot of people, I've seen just about I've looked at so many different job descriptions, and each and every one of them for that say threat intelligence on them
Mhm.
look entirely different. There was one I saw today that had that I need to do. I need to know, like, it was listed like 4 different programming languages, like scripting and stuff like that. I'm just like, no, like, no, like that's yeah. If you start making a threat intel person do programming, I mean, it's just a different mindset. You know what I mean? You wouldn't make a marketing person do public relations. It's like 2 different mindsets, you know? So yeah, there's a big, I think, lack of definitions and terminaologies in order to be able to collaborate and communicate effectively.
So
And
one
and we even have that up into their foreign policies. We just can't nail down our terminologies to be able to communicate effectively.
Right. So one suggestion that I would have for your job search, and I don't know if you're doing this or not,
Yeah.
I would recommend that since you know your niche so well, my recommendation, instead of looking for jobs, look for the companies that you would want to work for that probably understand what you're doing, even if they've never advertised for a job or anything like that. And then try to get conversations with somebody in your network in that company, just
Yep.
to find out more about the company. Again, pinpoint the companies, and I would recommend doing about 30 of that. This is a methodology that I read from a book, and what that will do is that eventually you will be that single bachelorette now marketing yourself to 30 or so companies. So instead of you being one of 500 applicants or 5,000 applicants to a particular job, flip the model around, because you're the one bringing in that unique person.
I love this
Consider
work at home thing. I don't know if you can hear my dog drinking in the background.
No,
I'm over here like they're just walking back and forth, tapping on the ground. Like, come on now.
hey, it even happens on TV shows these days. So real thing,
But
right?
what I found in my interviews and stuff is that people are starting to become more like people and
Ah.
not industry robots. Like, that they're understanding that you have a home life. They understand and see you as the person now. And now we're being able to actually talk on a level that we haven't been able to do before. And I think that's really cool. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but I really enjoy it. Yeah, no, I really like that advice. Another thing that I do with recruiters, or as soon as somebody tries to connect with me on LinkedIn, I say, hello, and address their name.
Mm-hmm.
And, thank you for the connection, not for thank you for requesting or any of that. I say, thank you for the connection.
Mm-hmm.
How is there anything I can do for you?
Mm-hmm.
Can I help in any way?
Mm-hmm.
And then with recruiters, or if I see people in companies that are posting a job that isn't for me, those are the ones that I go on and I'm like, here's somebody really cool that I think you might like, or I don't have anybody for you right now, but just say something to where people aren't feeling ignored. I think a lot of times whenever you don't have anything to say, you don't say things, but sometimes it feels good whenever if nobody responds to my post, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if my post just totally bombed.
Right.
But if somebody comments, that also helps me bring it up to where it needs to be for more visibility. I appreciate that you didn't have anything to add, and thank you for not ignoring my post. I try and do things to where people still feel that communication, even on our social media level that we're kind of like
So you
living
see,
off of
in
now.
just that little segment that you talked about, you probably have 5 1-minute videos in there. And my recommendation is that you do that. This is how I connect with people on LinkedIn. That could be a beautiful 1-minute video, and I'll tell you, it'll probably get a lot of views, and it's also good advice because that is
Really?
absolutely
Where would you post it? On LinkedIn
on
or
YouTube.
on YouTube?
First of all, YouTube.
All
And
right.
then of course you would post it on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and basically say that. I mean, again, you do things that's about you. Remember that, and then you talked about your field, right? And obviously your field, lots of people don't know your field properly, but you do.
Yeah.
Why don't you take 1-minute videos, talk about a little aspect of the field, the value of threat intelligence? That could be a beautiful 1 to 2-minute video. Don't make 1-hour videos because nobody's going to watch that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You want to the 1 to 2
We're in the
minute
realm of
video.
TikTok now. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Frequency matters because
Yes.
essentially personal branding is also about marketing yourself, right?
Yes.
Again, getting your brand and name out there. What is Callie Church? What is Callie Churchwell all about? So through these videos, we get to know you. That's important.
Yes.
It could be
I like
blogs
that.
also,
Thank
you
you.
see, because again, you could have a web page and all that, and you should also have that. You could start
Well, you better
collecting.
watch out now. It's going to happen next week. I'm going to have it all
Yeah. And
together.
then
I'm going to run it past
again,
you.
look at cybersecurity leadership. That's my passion, right? So I built a
Hmm.
website around that. I put my work on there and all that. And now people are using it and it is growing. Why do I do these conversations? Because again, it is creating educational videos. Just from our conversation, a lot of people are going to get ideas,
Good. That's awesome.
right?
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I'm doing it, because initially I thought I would do it maybe a few things, who would care? But I have spoken now to almost about 85, 90 people. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. That has, yeah, I'm overwhelmed, excited.
That's
I
great.
have like, yeah, I am That would be really cool. That would be really, I really enjoy teaching and giving videos and stuff, and to kind of hear from you that it would be helpful.
It would be
Really means a lot.
gold because it would be leadership. You are also demonstrating to people how to build your brand, how to show the passion about your field. And that way, I guarantee you someday somebody's going to watch that video and say, I got to hire this woman.
Well,
It's
hopefully
going to happen.
soon. Yeah, that would be great.
It's going to
Yeah.
happen because people hire people with passion. I
Yes.
always hired people with passion. Because by the
Well, I'll
time
tell you what, I am going to make a goal tomorrow. I'm going to make a minimum of 3 videos.
yeah, and post
Because I
them
have nothing
1
else to
week
do.
at a
I might as
time.
well.
1 week at a time.
Might as well.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very
All right,
nice.
Callie,
Thank you.
this has been an amazing conversation. I am so glad that you came on the show and we had this beautiful opportunity to chat.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is really changed some mindsets for me that I'm still processing right now. So this is really great, and I really appreciated you as well, Dell, listening to what you had to say as well. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, I like what you had to say, but you know what? Your videos are going to do good because you've got that Callie Churchwell, and that's like a nice little tag to go with.
Hey, Dell Jackson is a great brand. So
The Callie style. I don't know.
Yeah, Churchwell, check Callie, the CC. I don't know.
CC
again,
me. Yeah,
own your brand. You see, your
I like it.
name is your brand. You see, and that's why early on in the book I talk about choose the name you want to be famous in, and be very, very methodical and religious about that name. Always show your name in that one way, no other way.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes, thank you.